Well, we're interrupting this because what the President of the United States is saying, in large part, is absolutely untrue.
It's not true. It's ugly. It's frankly pathetic.
Completely false. And you said sad. It is sad.
A complete farce and a travesty, and it's incredible that he's doing it from the White House.
The President of the United States just held a press conference, and as Jake Tapper described it, it was pathetic. As one journalist in the press conference actually asked the president as he walked away, President Trump, are you a sore loser?
Are you being a sore loser?
Take a look at these clips from the press conference and the reaction from journalists across the spectrum.
Millions of unsolicited ballots without any verification measures whatsoever.
Well, we're interrupting this because what the President of the United States is saying, in large part, is absolutely untrue. He began, and we're not going to allow it to keep going because it's not true. He began with there were legal votes, and if they only count the legal votes, I easily win. If they count the illegal votes, they're trying to steal the election. There is not a scintilla of evidence that this is true. None. There's only words here. No truth. He said the pollsters knowingly got the polls wrong to create voter suppression. There is no evidence of any kind that this has happened, and he's provided none. He said that there is actually a red wave in this election. That is categorically false. He said there was election interference. There is no evidence to support that, and the president has offered none. He said the polls were fake. In some cases, the polls were wrong. It's been widely discussed that maybe the idea of polling needs to be reinvented. That's for another day. There's no evidence that the polls were, quote, fake. He said that observers were not allowed in to watch the counting of the votes. Categorically false.
Now, Shepard Smith is formerly of Fox News, and he is generally considered to be a part of the right-leaning conservative side of the spectrum. He actually cut away from the president because the president was doing entirely too much lying. Jake Tapper tore the president to shreds, describing what he saw as pathetic.
The president, for example, he assailed vote by mail. Why, he asked, why are the vote by mail ballots so overwhelmingly in favor of Joe Biden? We all know the answer. It's because the president told his supporters not to vote by mail. So Democrats did it overwhelmingly, and his supporters turned out in droves on Election Day. Look, President Trump has always been transparent about the smears and lies and strategies of falsehoods. We knew he was going to do this. We knew he was going to claim votes by mail were not real. But he's wrong. It's a lie. He's lying about the election. He's smearing the American people. He's smearing people who are working at polls, and it's a disgrace. We knew that the president was not going to lose graciously if he lost. But frankly, watching him flail like this is just pathetic.
Now, Dana Bash actually asked a really good question that I've been wondering for some time. Will anyone actually intervene? Is there no one in the Republican Party who will have an intervention to stop the president of the United States from not only destroying the Republican Party, but also taking down the entirety of our democracy?
As he was talking, I was trying to reach out to some senior Republicans to ask when the intervention is going to happen, because this isn't just partisan. This isn't just dangerous. It's nonsensical. It's illogical. And there's so many things to say. One of the things that I was thinking about listening to him now is how much we listened to him for the past, 4, 5 months, telling his voters, do not vote early. It's fraudulent. And now we sort of suspected it then. Now we know the reason for that, so that he could have this moment in the White House briefing room. So he could say that the votes that are coming in by mail are fraudulent. And the reason is because he knew that Democrats, because we are in a pandemic, were more apt to vote early by mail and to not want to risk their health and sometimes their lives by going to vote in person. It's a setup. He set the country up. He set his supporters up for a moment like this, which is completely false. And you said sad. It is sad.
And Abby Phillips actually put it in the best context of all, as she described what the president doing as undermining the entirety of our democracy.
This president clearly knows that this is not going to end well for him, or he believes that. And he's trying to take the rest of the country down with him.
Yeah.
He's trying to take the voting system down with him, the democratic process down with him. And beyond being completely selfish, it also is just wrong. And as you said, where's the intervention? I don't know where it is. And it probably should have happened months ago because, as you said, Dana, he already told us he was going to do this. He's already said months ago, the only way I could lose this election is if there were widespread, massive fraud, which we knew was not going to happen. And now he is apparently, he believes he is losing the election. The numbers are not heading in his direction. And he's claiming that there is fraud everywhere in the country except for one place, the place where the vote count is narrowing in his favor in Arizona. This is a complete farce and a travesty, and it's incredible that he's doing it from the White House.
Here's the good news and the bad news. Let me give you the bad news first. The bad news is that America had to go through this. The media is finally at the point where they're able to look at what Donald Trump is doing, and instead of equivocating and trying to beat around the bush, looking for ways of making it seem like they are unbiased, they finally have had enough and said, you know what? The president is lying. The president is dangerous. What he's doing is dangerous to our democracy. Never before have you seen CNN or CNBC actually engage in media in this way, because for so many years, the media always tried to give the appearance as if they were quote unquote fair and balanced. But we know the truth is anything but that. And so it's unfortunate. The bad news is that America unfortunately had to go through this stage where Donald Trump was a novelty. And he was doing so much lying that the media had to try to figure out, do we actually call him a liar? Donald Trump was doing so many things that was racist that the media had to actually stop and wonder, do we call him a racist? He was doing so many dangerous things that the media actually had to look itself in the mirror and say, do we get on national television and actually say that the president of the United States is dangerous? And the good news is Donald Trump, his infection in this country has run its course. And now the media understands that they cannot simply stand by and try to equivocate and try to both sides this and make it seem as though there's a counterbalance. There is something logical to be considered in Donald Trump's speech, or some way that they can make it seem as though they are unbiased, because in their efforts to appear unbiased, they are finding, or for the first 5 years of this experiment with Donald Trump, the media found itself complicit with aiding and abetting Donald Trump. In other words, because Donald Trump was such a novelty in 2015 and 2016 to the political process, the media fixated over him. They kept him on television. He helped them with their ratings. When he was running in 2016, they would have an empty podium awaiting the arrival of Donald Trump. And because he got nearly $2.5 billion worth of free media, because he was novel, we ended up with President Donald Trump. That's the bad news. The good news is that we have gotten him out of our system. Not entirely, but enough for us to attempt to go back to a functioning democracy that still has problems that need to be resolved, that were not resolved when Donald Trump got defeated. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Donald Trump will be defeated. That said, the media needs to understand that they have no requirement to make false equivalences to make it appear as though there are two sides to every story. There are not two sides to every story, except for the fact that there's the truth and there's a lie. And when you see a lie, journalists, call it a lie. When you see something dangerous, call it dangerous. When you see something that is racist, call a thing, call it racist. And when you see something that is dangerous, someone who is dangerous to our democracy, someone for whom the cruelty is the point, someone who would see this entire democratic experiment burn to the ground for the sake of his ego, you call him what he is. He is Donald Trump, and his time in this country has come to an end.